Hello everyone! Welcome to Ida's Tailoring. In today's video, we are gonna make a super easy skirt. No pattern needed. So let's go! This is the fabric I have. I think it goes very well with the design we are gonna make today. I need about 45 inches or so long, but you can make it a little longer or a little shorter. It depends on you. So I'm gonna measure about 45 to 50 inches from my skirt, and I'm gonna fold the fabric at that length, and then I'm gonna fold it by the corner, making a kind of triangle, something like that. So as you can see, we have 4 layers. I'm gonna start by measuring from the vertex 12 inches for a size small to medium, 12 inches and a half for extra large, and you can do a little more or a little less depending, but not really too much. Okay, so we have done that before in other videos, so I'm gonna just go and measure 12 inches all around, and then a kind of arc will be created. And now I'm gonna see what is the length that I want to make to the skirt. Let's say that I want to make 30 inches. Then I'm going to add the 12 inches to the 30 inches. So I'm going to measure 42 inches from the vertex as well, the same way. So that means that I'm going to get 2 arcs, one at 12 inches and the other one at 42 inches, which is 30 inches lower, which is the length of my skirt. And I'm gonna cut my fabric by the 2 arcs, and that's it. My skirt is cut. You see, that was easy, but still we are gonna make a few more cuts. In my case, I decided that I didn't want to make it so long, so I cut it again at 28 inches. But you know, you do you, whatever you think is the best for you, you do it. But this is what I have until now, like a half of a circle. Then I'm gonna cut again another arc in the corners. So I'm gonna fold my circle by the center so both sides are together, and I'm gonna kind of cut a little arc as I show you in the screen. Then I'm gonna measure what will be the waistband. This waistband is a little bit big. Don't get too worried about that. It's about 38 inches or 39 inches more or less. So I'm gonna cut my waistband at least that measurement. I always like to cut my waistband 1 or 2 inches longer. I'm gonna make sure to cut my waistband about 2 inches and a half or so. To be honest, I'm cutting it that size just because I'm a little bit too lazy and I have a roll interfacing that have more or less that measurement. But you know, I'd say that a waistband for a circle skirt shouldn't be too wide. 3/4 inch waistband is a little bit better, so in that case you should cut it a little less, like about 2 inches would have been ideal. And then I'm gonna cut again at the same length 2 more straps. They will be more or less a strap. I don't need interfacing for those straps, and I'm cutting them about 1 inch and 1/4 each. Then I'm gonna go to my sewing machine, and I'm gonna start by working the waist of my skirt. For that, I'm gonna lengthen the stitch of my sewing machine to the maximum, and I'm gonna loosen up the tension a little bit because today I want to make an ease stitch. Usually you prefer a stay stitch, but in this case I want to make an ease stitch because it's a circular skirt. You want to pull a little bit this thread, not too much, but enough to give it like a kind of nice curve as you would do in a sleeve, for example. Let me show you with this hem what I wanted to do that, you see, because that is more similar to the human hips. So now let me go back to the table, but before I continue, I want to serge the edges of that skirt because I want to make the hem before I do the waistband. And as you might know, my favorite technique is the band roll, but in this case, I'm serging and folding to do a top stitch. Why? Well, as Cardi B will say, the band roll hem here will be just a little too heavy for the skirt. So I'm just folding and sewing, and as you can see, I'm managing my hem with my index finger that I'm using to control that hem. Did you notice that? And this is the way you can get a very nice hem like you see here. Now let me work with the waistband. I'm gonna glue the interface in here. And as you can see, I'm working with knit, but after I glue the interface in, I'm making this like a regular fabric. And this is why as well I did the ease stitch on the waistband. There's always a reason when we do our techniques, right? I'm pinning my waistband to the skirt. By the side, I didn't serge. And as you can see, I'm very careful here because you don't want to pull or gather. You want to do things well. And I'm gonna make my little straps, and I'm using my favorite technique, which is attaching the rat tail to one end and then pull the rat tail. That way I don't have to suffer turning those little straps, right? So I have my two straps. Now they are the same size, but I'm gonna cut one later on. In the meantime, I'm trying to finish a little bit better those straps by ironing in a nicer way. Those sticks help me so much. They are my friends. Now that my straps are done, I'm gonna cut about 12 inches in one of them and throw it in the garbage. No, I don't do that. I just keep it in a safe place just in case. So I have my two straps. I'm checking which one is the shorter one, because the shorter one is the one that I'm gonna add first. I'm gonna add it to the right side, and then the longest one I'm gonna add it to the left side. I cut the excess of the seam allowance that I had at the left side, and I'm pinning my shorter strap. Let me show you with that little skirt. You see, it pretty much is the same. And as you can see, the shorter strap is at the right and the longest is at the left. Now I'm gonna mark my waistband because I wanted to do a good job. I'm gonna measure about 1 inch and 1/4 from the seam towards the center of the waistband, and I'm gonna make sure to measure that all around because I'm gonna fold my waistband by this line. When you do it this way, it takes a little bit time of measurement, but when you fold it, you make sure to make a perfect waistband that would look so amazing. I'm folding it and then I'm gonna iron, and as you can see, I haven't sewn and already looks nice. And I'm gonna make sure to iron as well the seam allowance inside towards up. So when I sew, everything will be caught in. Is that correct? Can I say that? I don't even know. Now I'm gonna going back to my sewing machine. I'm gonna make sure that my strap is stitched to my waistband. And now I'm gonna finish my waistband. But I have 1/2 inch seam allowance, and for this particular finish, 1/2 inch is too much, so I'm gonna cut the excess and leave just 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then I'm gonna fold my waistband exactly by the crease, but of course the opposite side. And I'm gonna accommodate very well the skirt, like just in between, like inside of the waistband, because I'm gonna sew that corner. And that's it. I have my corner done. Then I just need to turn it, and of course you can cut out the excess of material that is inside. But look at that, it's looking good. This is just the finish of my waistband, and then later on I'm gonna stitch it on top. But before that, I have to do the same at the other side. You know,
The very experienced people always say that you need to sew your waistband from the center of the waistband towards the side. That way, the waistband doesn't get kind of pulled towards one side. And you can stitch in the ditch or just top stitch the way you prefer. It doesn't really matter. And let's try to do a nice job today. So I'm going to start from the center and then I'm going to sew towards one side. And then I'm going to go back where I started and then I'm going to sew the waistband to the other side. Let's be a good girl today. I decided to make a top stitch because I think that the top stitch will look the best here, but always it depends, huh? Always it depends. And now I'm gonna try on the skirt because I need still to make a buttonhole so the strap can go through the waistband, and I wanna know a good place to do it. So I'm measuring the waist on my mannequin, but you can just measure the waist on a table, of course. But as I'm more visual, I prefer it to do it this way. So now I have my point where I want to make the buttonhole. And you can make it about 1 or 2 inches bigger so it accommodates for a smaller or a bigger skirt. Then I'm gonna go to my sewing machine and I'm gonna take the width of the strap to mark the width of my buttonhole as well. So I don't wanna make the buttonhole either too big or too small. The exact width of the strap I think will be enough. Then I'm gonna go to my sewing machine and make my buttonhole. I'm gonna cut it open and I think my skirt is done. I'm gonna iron the hem and the waistband just to finish it. And here you go, it's done. You just need to slide the strap through the buttonhole and just tighten it and you got it. Do you see how well, from the waistband, you see the curve, how nice it adapts to the body? It was because of the E-stitch. You see, it's fantastic, huh? Please let me know in the comment from 1 to 10, how easy do you think this skirt is? Being 10, the easiest you can make it. For me, it's like an 8. If you find this video useful or entertaining, please give us a hype, give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe, share, comment. Bye!